Welcome to the Militia Gaming Community. I'm Trigger, and today we're going to compare all four of the street race interception vehicles in the Crew 2. Let's go! I'm giving away an Xbox Series X to one of my subs this holiday season. Click the giveaway video link in the description or in the top right of this video now to watch the video and enter the giveaway. Just being a sub will not automatically put you in the giveaway, you must officially enter. So go watch that video, enter, and then come back to this one. Good luck! The best street race interception vehicle will ultimately depend on your own personal preference. My job is to give you all the necessary information so that your decision is easier and give you my recommendation. Before I get into the test results, I want to give you some key information. The tests were run with my preferred pro settings, which are on screen now. These settings are aimed at minimizing rear wheel spin in turns, which inevitably leads to some understeer. This is how I prefer to drive these cars. If you want the cars to steer tighter, you can raise the aero distribution one tick. That being said, each test run was made with the exact same set of parts to make it as fair as possible for all four cars. I performed a straight line test with each vehicle and then synced the videos up to see which car does better. I also ran the test with and without NOS to see the differences. Let's take a look at the stats first for all four vehicles in these interception classes to see where the advantages are. The Shelby Mustang has the edge on both top speed and horsepower, but has the worst in 0 to 60 and quarter mile. It's definitely not a great drag car due to its traction loss, but it accelerates well at the top end. The Stingray Corvette has the best 0 to 60, the Demon grabs the best quarter mile and lateral G stats, and the Shelby brakes the fastest. These stats will change as you change your pro settings, so take this information with a grain of salt. If you tune your car to your liking, you might see different results on these stats. Stats are definitely interesting, but real results are much more meaningful, so let's take a look at the 0 to 60 test without NOS. The Corvette takes it. Now let's look at the 0 to 100 test. On this test, the Challenger wins that battle, but let's see how the rest of this race finishes. The Challenger continues on to win by about a car length over the Shelby. Now this is really no surprise considering both of those cars do very well in the top end. Let's see what happens when we introduce NOS into the equation. Here's the 0 to 60 with NOS. The BMW M8 destroys the competition, definitely because of its all-wheel drive, but let's continue to 100 miles per hour to see if that continues. Yep, that BMW again is way ahead of the other three cars. Notice the difference in speed, it's not even close. Alright, let's see if the end of the race is consistent with the 0 to 60 and 0 to 100. Yeah, that BMW really has the edge when NOS is involved. Now that we know the results of this straight line test, we need to consider a few other things, some of which are completely subjective, meaning it's my opinion based on my own experience with these cars. So again, take it for what it is. You may see it differently. Let's talk about overall success. So for me personally, I had the most success with the Challenger, which is actually really sad because it's my least favorite car in terms of overall styling. But the Challenger seemed to move the villains a little bit easier. It seemed to crash them easier than the other three cars. I think the weight has something to do with that. The BMW feels the fastest, but it doesn't quite hit as hard as the Challenger. The C8 Corvette looks ridiculously good, but my favorite in terms of styling is the 2020 Shelby. That thing is absolutely stunning and mean looking. The problem is that Shelby ranked last in the tests with NOS. It has the slowest average acceleration, which is super important in these chase events. You are constantly smashing into things and having to accelerate again to top speed. Acceleration is arguably the most important stat for these chase events, so because of that, I have to rule out the Shelby. The Corvette is the lightest car of the bunch, which means it does the least amount of damage, and it doesn't accelerate in the middle and top gears as fast as the others, so for that, I need to eliminate it as well. Which leaves the Challenger and the BMW M8. The Challenger offers a higher top speed, more horsepower, and a better lateral Gs, meaning it can cut turns a little bit easier or faster than the M8. However, the M8's dominance in the acceleration department is so hard to overlook. It absolutely destroys the Challenger when NOS is present, which is obviously all the time. Even though it's 180 pounds lighter than the Challenger, it still does a fair amount of damage to the villain cars. That being said, my fastest times and my most successful runs in the chase events have been with that Challenger, so this is honestly a really tough call. But because the M8 has performed better on regular street races, and it looks better than the Challenger, it definitely wins my recommendation. The chase events are great, and it's awesome to have a car that does well during those chases, but the M8 is a much more well-rounded car. It accelerates better with NOS, and it is a much sleeker, better looking car than the Challenger. The Challenger just looks like a police Challenger. So my recommendation again is the BMW M8 Interception vehicle. Now you can use all of this info to make your own choice, but I will be using the M8 from here on out for the street chase events as well as street races where an interception vehicle is required. Like last week, we had a summit where you had to use interception cars on those races, and I didn't have the M8 yet, and I really wish I did because it performs a lot better. Alright, if you have any questions about this video or any video, please don't hesitate to send me a DM on Instagram or Twitter. I read every single message and I reply as soon as I possibly can. Sometimes that means you need to wait a little bit because I do work a full-time job outside of YouTube, but I really do read every single message and I care about every single person that needs help. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to all the Militia subs. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.